Welcome back to the channel, guys. Calciomercato is officially over and it's time to do Le Pagelle. How did the Italian teams do this Calciomercato, this transfer window? Overall, guys, some good moves, some bad moves, some interesting moves. We'll take a look at everybody. We'll go in alphabetical order. It's just easier to do that way. So let's start right away. Before we do, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. As usual, we want and need your support, guys. Atalanta, I gave Atalanta a 7. Why? Because they sell Højlund for 80 million euros. Guys, they sell Zapata. They are able to bring in Scamacca. They brought in De Ketelaere. They were able to keep Coop Miners and Scalvini, very important players for them. So overall, guys, a good calciomercato for Atalanta. We'll see how Scamacca does, if he could replace the goals that will be missed by Zapata. Zapata didn't play much last season, but overall, he's a different type of striker, guys. A bit heavier, he can move around a little bit more, throw some elbows in the box. But I think Scamacca can do very well in a context like Atalanta. We'll see De Ketelaere, he scored his first goal. Last 2 games, though, didn't do much. So we'll see what happens there. And in nets, they have Musso, Carnesecchi, 2 great goalies. Bologna, I give them a 7 as well. They did good, well. They did well as well. They get to keep players like Posh, Ferguson, Orsolini. They got rid of Arnautovic, Schouten, some players that they didn't really want anymore. So overall, for a mid-table team, guys, I think they did very well. To get a higher grade, they would have needed the last striker to replace Arnautovic. They didn't do so. So we'll see who can replace his goals. But overall, a good calciomercato for Bologna as well. Cagliari, guys, Cagliari gets a 5. They get a 5 because, yes, they get Janko, they get Aguero, Petagna. But Petagna isn't the type of scorer that's going to score you 20 goals. He's going to do 10, maybe, big maximum. So they're missing something. I think the real star of this Cagliari team is Ranieri. I've mentioned it before, a great coach, and he might be the one able to save them. L'Empoli gets a 5.5. 5.5 because Empoli is worse than they are from last season. Last season, they didn't have the greatest season. This year, they lose Vicario and Parisi, 2 of their strongest players. Didn't replace them by much. Cancellieri comes in. Pezzella comes in. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. I don't think so, guys. So 5.5 for them. La Fiorentina gets a 7. And Zola, Beltran, Infantino, Parisi, Artur, Maxim Lopez on the last day to replace Amrabat that goes to Manchester United. They get rid of Jovic that they didn't want anymore. He goes to to Milan, and they keep Nico Gonzalez, which is the most important part. So good calciomercato for them. Frosinone gets a 6+. Guys, I didn't expect much from this team. But at the end, they bring in some interesting young players. Why? They bring in a new Ibrahimovic, comes from Bayern Munich on a loan. We'll see how he does. But more importantly, they bring in players like Caio George, Sule, Reiner from Real Madrid, Lirola and Okoli, all very interesting players. Liroli more familiar with Serie A, obviously, but Caio George and Sule, 2 very good young players. Caio George looking for the La Stagione di Riscatto, didn't play last season, was injured as well. So he was the next big thing for Brazilian soccer. Juventus got him, he didn't get to play much, got injured. We'll see how he does at Frosinone in a context where there's less pressure. He could do very, very well. The only sad part about Frosinone, guys, is that they have Di Francesco as a coach. How many times are we going to repeat this? Genoa, guys, 6.5. 6.5 plus. So they were able to bring players like De Winter, Torsby, Messias, but more importantly, they get Retegui and Malinowski, 2 great players. A mercato for a Serie A team, so I give them a 6.5. Guys, Inter gets an 8. Forget the missed opportunities with Lukaku and Samardich. Those, it's not really their fault. It was more the players. But guys, they bring in Fratesi, they bring in Pavard, Carlos Augusto, Sanchez, Arnautovic, Cuadrado, and guys, yes, there's a bit of a question mark on the offensive side of it, right? Can Arnautovic and Sanchez provide the goals that Dzeko and Lukaku did? Probably not. That's why they only get an 8. But overall, guys, for a team that didn't spend a lot of money, guys, they sold Onana, Skriniar left. They replaced them. They replaced Skriniar with Pavard. Great move. Onana replaced by Aldero and Sommer. So 2 good moves for l'Inter. Honestly, overall, I think they did very well. Beppe Marotta, as usual, good. Juventus, guys, they get a 6. They get a 6 only because they get to keep Chiesa and Vlahovic. I gotta be honest, they didn't do any moves. They got rid of some players. I think the biggest move was getting rid of Arthur and Bonucci. Bonucci, guys, it was time for him to go. Quadrado left, Paredes left, Di Maria left. They bring in Weah. Can he become as good as his father? Probably not. Plays on the wing, very different player. But, guys, I think they bring something. Him and Cambiaso will bring something to this Juventus team. Like I said, they're not big stars, they're not big names, but they do their job well. And like I said, they get to keep Chiesa, they get to keep Vlahovic, and Giuntoli, who is a very good DS, guys, goes into a context where there wasn't a lot of money. They were penalized for the financial fair play and everything else that we know about. So not an easy context, but I think overall a 6 is decent. They get La Sufficienza, and that's about it. Lazio, guys, 5.5. 5.5 and maybe even less. The loss of Milinkovic-Savic, the tension between Sarri and Lotito for the Calciomercato. Yes, they get Kamada, Ravella, Castellanos, Isaacson, Guendouzi, and Pellegrini. But, guys, none of these actually replace Milinkovic-Savic. So, big loss for them. And we saw it beginning of this season, very, very hard for them. So, Lazio gets a 5.5. In Lecce, guys, Lecce, they sell Hojlund for 80 million euros to Sporting Lisbon. A good move for a team like Lecce. It is very, very good. I'm sorry, I apologize if you hear the police in the back. I don't know what's happening, but it's a disaster over here. They get interesting players like Mida, Grosvich, Ramadani, and Almquist. So we'll see what they can do, guys. But it's basically the same team without Colombo and players like that. But Hojlund to Sporting Lisbon, 18 million euros is a great, great move. Il Milan, guys, I give them a 9. Not because they're my team, because Milan changed a lot and they're already a team, guys. Like we saw the 3 first games, they're playing very well. I would have given them a 10 if they would have gotten Taremi. But going from Taremi to Jovic, it's a big drop, guys. You go from a starter to a team that makes the Champions League every year, that can score 20 goals a season, to some guy that's on the bench and that maybe can score you 8-9 goals next season. So they get rid of Origi, Balotelli, De Ketelaere, Tonali, Brahim Diaz, Bakayoko, Messias, Salzmaker, Tatarusanu, Gabbia, Rebic, and they bring in Pulisic, Reinders, Loftus-Cheek, Chukwueze, Jokovic, Okafor, Pellegrini, Musa, Romero, and Sportiello. Guys, it's a brand new team and they get to keep Leao. More importantly, I think that was the biggest key of this transfer market. And how fast are we going to forget about Tonali with Reinders and Loftus-Cheek playing like they do? Monza gets a 6. Why? Because Galliani brings in Gagliardini, Akpa Akpro, Colombo, D'Ambrosio, and others. They lose Carlos Augusto, who was the biggest part of their team, plus Petagna. Petagna, like I said, guys, they replace him by Colombo, so it's not a big issue there. Napoli gets a 6.5. Once again, they lose a player. They lose Kim. They bring in Nathan. Is he going to be just as good? Kayute, Lindstrom, very interesting players. We'll see how they do in Napoli. They keep Vara and Osimhen, which was very important. Lozano and Dombele are gone, but nobody's going to miss them. Roma gets a 7.5. How to do a calciomercato without 1 penny? Go look at what Roma did, guys. Lukaku, Sanchez, Paredes, Awar, Endika, Azmoun, and Christensen. You're going to say, guys, yes, probably, but they're all just names and they're not functional because they're all injured. Maybe. But if everybody plays like they're supposed to or would do, guys, Roma is not a bad calciomercato. I actually promote them. When you're a team that doesn't have money and you're able to bring in players like Lukaku, like Sanchez, like Paredes, like Awar, like Endika, guys, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Salernitana gets a 5. They keep Dia and Mazzocchi, but that's about it, guys. They haven't done anything else, so 5. Sassuolo, 5.5. 5.5 minus. They keep Berardi one more season against his will. He wanted to go to Juventus. It didn't happen. They lose Maxim Lopez to Fiorentina on the last day. Yes, they get Volpato, Vigna, and Misori from Roma. And they also lose, more importantly, Fratesi. Il Torino, 6.5. 6.5, why? Because they get that punta that can score some goals. Zapata, if he's healthy, guys, is a very good Serie A striker. They get to keep Vlasic. They brought in Belanova. They bring in Tamazze from Verona, very good. And they bring in Sopi. And they keep players like Ricci, Bongiorno, and Schurz. So a very good calciomercato for Torino as well. Ludine, 5. Udinese, that whole Samardžić thing, because of Samardžić, they have to lose Beto. They needed to make some money. They had sold Samardžić for about 30 million euros to Inter. Instead, they need to sell Beto. Don't get me wrong, Samardžić is a very good player to have on your team. However, they had to make a choice, and that choice then goes to Beto, and they haven't replaced him really. So, not the greatest calciomercato. A 5 for Udinese. Luca from Pisa isn't the answer. They also lose Beccao, Doggy, Pereira, and they're all gone, guys. So, we'll see. Il Verona gets a 5. They get Saponara. That's about it. They lose Tamazze. What is happening in this neighborhood? I have no idea. Everybody's going crazy. They lose Tamezze, Veloso, and Lasagna, and they don't replace them by anybody really. So, guys, Il Verona, 5, and even with all that, they have 2 victories out of 3 games. Incredible. Let me know what you think. Write in the comments. Like and subscribe, guys. Have a great, great soccer day.